Welcome to 50 Ways to Succeed at Work, where you hear stuff about ways to succeed even the most well-intentioned colleagues, advisors, careers officers and HR departments may never get around to mentioning. This podcast is about you being a lively listener, how to become a terrific listener and watch your impact at work grow. Are you a trampoline or a sponge listener? Most of us think that good listening is being passive, a receptacle for others to fill. Apart from a few ums and ahs, we're supposed to remain silent while the other person talks. This sort of listener may offer nods and facial expressions, yet essentially it's acting like a sponge. This is not what makes good listening. If that's how you think of listening, it's time for a rethink. It's far more like bouncing on a trampoline. A trampoline listener is someone you can bounce ideas off. This kind of listener acts as an amplifier rather than passively absorbing ideas and energy. This person invigorates and clarifies other people's thinking. Trampoline listeners also make you feel better because they don't passively absorb everything. They instead provide active support, as on a trampoline. When on the receiving end of this kind of listening, it lets you gain energy and height. Okay, so now we know what we mean by good listening. But why does being a good listener improve your chances of success at work? What's so special about this kind of behavior that it's worth a whole podcast all to itself? A strong reason for adopting this kind of listening is that most people prefer broadcasting. They literally use up the time with their views, opinions, and need for attention. That form of behavior, though, won't do much for your chances of success at work. What will make a difference is using authentic listening. This creates the kind of trampoline experience that others enjoy and want more of if they can get it. Let's talk about your brain. Yours will be able to deal with around 800 words a minute. Speaking, though, happens closer to 150 words a minute. So what does that mean for listening? It suggests that you have ample time to make a real contribution to the process of communicating. Since your brain works much faster than the spoken word, you've time to listen for what's said and how it's being said. You even have scope to work out what is not being said, such as unexpressed feelings. If we dissect trampoline listening further, we find it involves 3 different forms of reaction, rather than passively staying quiet. First, there's paying attention to all the information that you're receiving from another person. That's called cognitive listening. Then there's emotional listening, where you stay calm and compassionate during a conversation. It involves managing any emotional reactions such as annoyance or boredom. That's the emotional part of trampoline listening. The third part of trampoline listening comes from your actions. With this kind of listening, you show an interest both verbally and non-verbally. You make it clear to the other person that you've understood or heard what they've said. This is active behavior. You do this by asking questions. When you add energy to the conversation, you support the other person in expressing themselves while still being a listener. Trampoline listeners use all 3 approaches when responding to others: cognitive listening, emotional listening, and behavioral listening. As you might expect, getting good at trampoline listening is a lifetime's work, yet right now you can adopt some minor improvements that can make a big difference to your listening impact at work. One of the best ways to focus your listening approach is to adopt a definite purpose for listening. For example, you need to understand another person's point of view, or you want to discover what they think, feel, and intend, or you're wanting something very specific, such as the nature of their problem, or what's stopping them from making a decision. Another way to refine your trampoline listening is by checking out what's happening around you. You focus on what's going on right now. Where are we going with this? Also, we have a natural tendency to hear what we want to hear. Our inbuilt prejudices take over. That way we tend to disregard uncomfortable information that might otherwise help us avoid mistakes. Selective hearing is yet another way to reduce our listening impact. This is when you or others say things like, "Let's keep an eye on this." "No, I don't see it that way. We'll find a way forward." These suggest avoidance in facing up to what's happening. Active trampoline listening promotes communication, making it obvious you're paying attention, and that builds your reputation. People will start talking to you because you're interested in what they say. So what actions can I propose? Well, first of all, adopt trampoline listening practices in which you energize and support those you listen to. Respond to feelings by acknowledging and describing them aloud and their effect. Make requests by asking questions, making these open-ended so that people can expand their thoughts. So in summary, focus your listening on a definite purpose and listen out for the bigger picture. You've been listening to an episode of Andrew's 50 Ways to Succeed at Work. If you want to hear more, please subscribe free to my regular weekly podcasts. Visit the50ways.site for transcripts, e-learning, and join a growing community of people who seriously want to succeed at work. Thanks for listening, and bye for now until next week.